Good afternoon and welcome to the 9th Annual Connecticut Fallen Heroes Memorial. I'm Logan West, Miss Teen USA 2012, and I'm both honored and humbled to be here and be your MC for today's event. First of all, our thanks to the United States Coast Guard Band for the beautiful music we've been enjoying. And I would like to acknowledge the importance of today's activities. The Connecticut Fallen Heroes Foundation is dedicated to always remembering the brave men and women from Connecticut, as well as throughout our country, that made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty for our freedom. The Connecticut Fallen Heroes Foundation has now, unfortunately, remembered 39 fallen heroes over the years, and we are already planning our 10th annual tribute on September 28, 2013. Our annual event is free and open to the public, including food, which we invite you all to enjoy. So please be very generous with your donations to this wonderful organization. I would also like to call your attention to Remembrance, the symbolic title of this sculpture, which is located right between those two pictures, which was created for the Connecticut Fallen Heroes Foundation by veteran and internationally acclaimed artist Peter Rubino. It is the only sculpture in the state that both honors and represents all of Connecticut's brave men and women who sacrificed their lives in service defending our country. A Connecticut Fallen Heroes Foundation memorial monument featuring a larger-than-life-size statue of remembrance is being planned for a public unveiling in 2013. On behalf of Chairman Mike Mistroni, Mr. Rubino will be assisting volunteers in presenting 12-inch replicas of remembrance to 8 Gold Star families at the end of today's program. And now, please stand for the posting of the colors and our national anthem presented by musician First Class Megan Wicklingett and the United States Coast Guard Band.
Forward, work. Ready, down.
That was beautiful. To provide the invocation, I call upon U.S. Army Chaplain Assistant Staff Sergeant Juliet Taylor.
Let us pray. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Heavenly Father, we thank you today for giving us this awesome day to celebrate the memories of your heroes. We thank you, God, and we ask you to bless each and every family member that's present here today. We thank you for all that you've given us. We thank you for the food. We thank you, God, for everything that you've given us unto today and forever. We ask you, Father God, to comfort the family members that are left behind, to continue to cherish the memories, as we ask all these blessings in your name. Amen.
Thank you. We are so happy to have the recognition and support of our local, state, and national government agencies, and thrilled that representatives of each are with us today. We invite these representatives to come forward with their greetings, beginning with former Connecticut Attorney State General, who now represents Connecticut in the United States Senate, the Honorable Richard Blumenthal.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Everybody, please be seated. But I would like to ask to stand, just to begin today's ceremony, all of the veterans who are here today, all who have served, whatever the branch of service, whatever the conflict, if you could please stand or raise your hand so that we can honor and thank you. Thank you and welcome home to many of you. Thank you. And a few more thank yous. First of all, I would like to say to Mike Mastroni, what a great achievement, what a great contribution. Where is Mike? Thank you, Mike, for your extraordinary, there he is. As usual, Mike is not at the center of attention. He's at the sidelines. He's doing his job, but he's the one from the beginning who has put this event together year after year. Thank you to Mike, and thank you to all of the volunteers. You know, this doesn't happen because of one person. It takes efforts from everyone to do it, and it speaks volumes about the men and women who serve and sacrifice for our country, that we are here today very simply to say thank you to them and to particularly our fallen warriors. I have on my wrist a band that I have worn for the last 2 years. I started wearing it when my son was about to be deployed to Afghanistan. Matthew Blumenthal, a then first lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps Reserves, has come back in the meantime. But there are two things that I never take off. One is this band, which says, Connecticut Fallen Heroes, we will never forget. And the other is my wedding ring. In our family, we value both, and we follow both as a matter of faith. And I know you're here because you have that same appreciation. Wherever I go, whether it is on the floor of the United States Senate or events around Connecticut, I tell people with pride about Connecticut Fallen Heroes Memorial, because it's our way of saying very simply, we appreciate what you've done for our nation, we honor you, we will always remember, we will never forget. Thank you all for being here. God bless America.
Now representing the great state of Connecticut, Lieutenant Governor Nancy Wyman.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. You know, today's always a special day. And today's, we had an awful lot of rain yesterday, right? But it wouldn't dare rain on this day. I want to thank you very much. I want to thank everybody, of course, that has been part of it. Let me also thank Sikorsky for backing this and allowing Mike to do what he needs to do to get this thing done. But Mike, you have been truly our hero, and we love you for it. And of course, you can't find him again. He's hiding again. But at least he's not. We have this thing about Mike. He is. Oh, he's back over there. He tries to be a tough guy, but he is really a teddy bear, a sweetheart that cares so much about this and our fallen heroes. So Mike and the Connecticut Fallen Heroes Foundation, thank you. Thank you for all the great work to honor our veterans and our families. It is really an honor to be here. I see so many of the families of our fallen heroes that I've got to know over the years. You are very, very special to me. You have shared some times with me that I never thought I'd have in my life. To understand where you came from, and where your loved ones came from, and who they are, and who they were, and how they will live on forever. You know, we also today are honoring also those loved ones that we recognize today of the Gold Star, their mothers, their sisters, their wives. These are people that we know can never forget. But I want all the families to know that we will always, always remember. God bless you all.
Thank you. And now representing the beautiful city of Trumbull, First Selectman Tim Herbst.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to echo the comments that were made by Senator Blumenthal and Lieutenant Governor Wyman in offering my sincere thanks and appreciation to Mike Mastroni, who does an outstanding job every year in putting this event together. I am proud to call Mike Mastroni a Trumbullite, and we are proud to have him as a resident in our town. And this is becoming something of a tradition here in Trumbull every year, and it wouldn't happen without that guy. So Mike, on behalf of the town of Trumbull, job well done. As I look out in this audience this afternoon, I see many people from all over our state, but I also see a lot of residents of the town of Trumbull who have served in the military, whether it be in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, or even Iraq and Afghanistan. And one of the things we're most proud of here in our town is those that have served our country in uniform and have come back to our community to serve in so many other ways. And as we gather here today to honor those that served our nation and made the ultimate sacrifice, I'm reminded of our town's motto here in Trumbull, which is pride in our past and faith in our future. And that really speaks to the service of our men and women in uniform. We have pride in our past because they have served to make us peaceful and make us free, and to rid the world of evil. And we have faith in our future because we have the strongest, most capable military on the face of the earth. And we have people who serve this country every single day in uniform and go into harm's way to make that ultimate sacrifice, so we may have faith in our future. So on behalf of the town of Trumbull, I want to thank those for their service. I want to thank the families that are gathered here today who will be honoring their loved ones. And I would just like to conclude my comments this afternoon by presenting this plaque to the United States Coast Guard Band. On behalf of the Connecticut Fallen Heroes Foundation, I want to thank you for your wonderful performance this afternoon, for coming to our town, and for helping us honor all those here today. Thank you very much.
And I would like to also acknowledge some other dignitaries that are with us today. State Senator Anthony Musto, State Senator Leone, State Representative Tony Wong, and Mayor of Bridgeport, Mayor Bill Finch. So if you could all either stand or wave so we can see you. And now we begin the Gold Star ceremony. As we pay tribute to each of the 6 fallen heroes, we would ask their families to come forward to accept our gifts and to say a few words if they would like to do so. On behalf of Sergeant Stephen DeLuzio, we call forward the presenters, Brigadier General William Roy with Lieutenant Colonel Rob Charlesworth. It's okay, thank you.
First of all, thank you for this opportunity to speak today. I've had a chance to talk to a couple of the soldiers' families who I had the privilege of commanding in Afghanistan. Sergeant Edward Rivera and Sergeant Stephen DeLuzio. But this isn't my first opportunity to come to Connecticut for a memorial service. The first time I came was for a ceremony for Sergeant Fanoff, Joseph Fanoff. It was after we lost him in December of 2007. And I came away from the ceremony so strengthened by the bond of the community, of the family, that just uplifted those around them. As a commanding officer, taking soldiers into harm's way, you go forward trained and ready to do what our nation asks you to do, but also focused on returning your soldiers to their families in at least as good a condition as you received them. And when you fail to do that, when the enemy gets a vote, it literally rips your heart out. It's something that you will carry with you your entire life. I carry around the 5 soldiers who I lost during my command as a reminder of the responsibilities that we hold in wearing our uniform and fighting our nation's wars. But I also carry them around to celebrate their lives. These young men who stepped forward to do what our nation needed us to do and to help another nation rise from the ashes. As a commander, the last time you get to see your soldiers is as you have a memorial service to them and you place them on the aircraft to send them home to their families. You don't get to be there with the families on the other side. You don't get to look them in the eyes and apologize for not having brought them back to their loved ones in at least as good a condition as you received them. So when you get a chance to do that, when you finally get to see the families, it's a very humbling moment. To look them in the eyes, to say, I'm sorry, but thank you so very much for having had the opportunity to share the life with your soldier. Thank you very much for having had the honor to lead him into harm's way. Thank you very much for the privilege to have served with him. Thank you for your strength and your courage and your perseverance through this so very tragic period. Your strength allows us to continue to do what needs to be done, knowing that we can come back and see you at events like this and day to day, and that you will help strengthen us and refocus us on what we need to do, and that is get our soldiers ready to do again what our nation's asked us to do. So Mark and Diane and Scott, thank you for helping me through a very difficult time. Thank you for sharing your son with us. Thank you for being an inspiration. Please come forward.
I want to give a special thanks to Brigadier General William Roy, Lieutenant Colonel Rob Charlesworth, who both traveled great distances to be with us here today. I would also like to thank Mike Mastroni and the Fallen Heroes Memorial Committee for the special honor given to Stephen. I would also like to introduce the other family members who are in attendance today. My husband, Mark DeLuzio, my son, Sergeant Scott DeLuzio, who's in the audience, and his wife, Victoria, and their daughter, Charlotte. Well, my other grandson, Adam, isn't here, but I was going to introduce him. Stephen's fiancée, Lisa Goot, and also my father, Joseph Lysick, who's in the audience. Stephen, along with all of the fallen heroes, are honored on this special day. We will never forget the sacrifice of the brave men and women who put their own lives on hold in service to our country. Stephen made the ultimate sacrifice with his life in 2010 while serving in Afghanistan. He left behind so many memories for us to cherish, and we appreciate every opportunity to share them with you. The loss of Stephen in our lives is tragic and a difficult struggle daily, but I also thank God every day that we were given the blessing of him in our lives for 25 years. Thank you all for attending this tribute and for the support you have given to all of the families of the fallen heroes. We sincerely appreciate your support and the honor you have given to Stephen's memory. Thank you.
I'm sorry, but on behalf of the Connecticut Fallen Heroes Foundation, this memorial quilt was made to honor the memory of your son.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the gift of your excellence.
On behalf of Sergeant Robert A. Elia, our presenter is Vietnam Veterans Hall of Fame 2011 Corporal Sam Beeman, United States Marine Corps.
Good afternoon. I thank God for allowing me to be here with you today, and I thank the Connecticut Fallen Heroes Foundation for this opportunity to reflect. Today is a special day of remembrance in this state for those that have given their lives. We should also take a moment to remember all of the veterans from all of the conflicts and wars that have passed away. This includes my grandfather, my father, uncles, and cousins. In my eyes, they're all heroes. I have come here today, as did you, to pay our respects to my brother veterans that have given their lives in service to our country. We also remember our sister veterans for their service and those that have given their lives. I did not know these people personally, but I did know them all, regardless of the conflict. A young person stepped forward to serve this country, as we did along with every veteran. There's an unshakable bond. We are a family. Well, who is a veteran? A veteran is someone who at some point in their life an oath was taken to support and defend this country. By doing this, the person wrote out a blank check made payable to the United States of America for an amount of everything up to and including their life. We all had one thing in common. We raised our right hand and swore an allegiance to this country. We went to boot camp, and after graduation we became veterans. Whether it was peacetime or wartime, we were all veterans. This is an honor and a commitment. There are too many in this country today who no longer understand or appreciate this devotion to duty. Learning to defend this country is not easy and is a very dangerous job. War is serious business and not a game. is the dirtiest, the nastiest, and the ugliest thing you can do to another human being, and we do not take it lightly. War has been here since the beginning of time. Men, women, and children die. This is a fact of life. No matter the conflict, the pain and hurt of losing a loved one is the same. They are missed and remembered every day. Some people die on purpose, while others died by accident. Today we remember some of those that gave up their tomorrows so that we can enjoy our todays, and they will forever be young. Michael Kite, Norman Dawson, Linwood Harrell, and Paul Looney, to name a few veterans that I did know personally. Today we remember, and I have the distinct honor of remembering Robert A. Elia, Sergeant, U.S. Army. He was born on February 12, 1947 in Ansonia and moved to Shelton, Connecticut. He came from a large family of 9 and attended local schools. He enjoyed the outdoors and was adventurous and an avid hunter. He worked at his father's oil business before joining the Army in August 1966. He earned the Rifle Expert Badge, and after boot camp, volunteered to become a paratrooper. He was reassigned as a scout and dog handler. This is a very dangerous job. He deployed to South Vietnam on June 8, 1967, and was assigned to the 25th Infantry Scout Dog Platoon, 1st Cavalry Division, U.S. Army, Republic of Vietnam. With his dog, he went out many times on patrol, ahead of our troops looking for the enemy. He designed the patch for dog handlers for the United States Army uniform. He was awarded the National Defense Medal, the Vietnam Service Medal, the Vietnam Campaign Medal, and the Purple Heart. Robert wanted to be like the vast majority of those that served their country. They did their job, came home, and quietly melted into society. Every veteran needs your support. With each deployment, the men and women are psychologically and emotionally changed. All of the wounds are not visible. The taste of freedom has a flavor that the protected will never know. Cherish those that knows the difference. As I said, I did not know him, but I knew him. 1947 was a very good year. I was also born in 1947, and Robert would have been 5 months older than me. This year, he would have turned 65 years old, been able to retire, been a father and a grandfather, enduring all of life's ups and downs. He did not have these opportunities. It was not meant to be. Sergeant Elia was in harm's way and was killed by friendly mortar fire. I have always said that any fire coming at me is not friendly, no matter who fired it. Accidents and mistakes do happen in war. All that served gave some, while some gave their all. There are 612 names on the Vietnam Memorial Wall in Washington from Connecticut. They all served this country with honor. We carry the thoughts and memories with us every day. For those that cashed that check to America, marked paid in full. Why do some of our country's brightest and smartest, some of our very best, have to die? I do not have an answer to that question. I do believe that God does not make mistakes. I am a proud Vietnam veteran and was stationed in the northern part of Vietnam when Robert lost his life on February 13, 1968 in Ben Dinh Province, South Vietnam during the Tet Offensive. Those of us that survived our tour of duty, no matter the conflict, has a responsibility to our fellow veterans to never those that serve, especially those that made the ultimate sacrifice. Yes, the Vietnam veteran is getting older, and we are joining the ranks of veterans of other wars. We remember the past, and we have learned to forgive, but we will never forget. Most people will never know what a veteran has seen or experienced, whether World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm, or the War on Terror. We will always remember the sacrifices of those that went before us and those that are serving today to ensure our freedoms. As a combat veteran, I say to today's veteran, I understand. You are not alone, and we are here for you. Let the glory be to the Gold Star mothers, fathers, and families, because your loss is our loss. Their loved ones were also our friends, classmates, relatives, and fellow Americans. The price that they paid will never be forgotten. The love and respect of our fallen comrades will always be honored by the veterans who served with them, fought with them, and those that will always remember them. They will never be forgotten. United States Army Sergeant Robert A. Elia, thank you for your service. Your family and friends love and miss you. Rest in peace. Semper Fi, my brother. And finally, on a personal note, in 2005, the state of Connecticut, under the direction of then Governor Jody Rell, established the Connecticut Veterans Hall of Fame. It is the highest honor that the state can bestow upon a veteran. The hall is not for what the person did during the time in the military, but what the veteran did after leaving the armed services to better their community. There are currently 62 members, including former President George H.W. Bush and former Governor William O'Neill. Under the direction of Governor Malloy and Lieutenant Governor Wyman, on December 2nd, 2011, I was humbled and deeply honored to be inducted into the Connecticut Veterans Hall of Fame, along with the class of 2011. There are some members here in the audience, and I want to point two of them out. One is retired Colonel John Chirella, and also our current State Commandant for the Marine Corps League, Jack Doherty, who are members of the Connecticut Veterans Hall of Fame. I wear the Hall of Fame medal around my neck, not for me, but in honor of all those that have served this country with honor. May God watch over and protect our troops. God bless each and every one of you. May God bless the United States of America. Can I have the family of Robert Elia please come forward? Hello. Okay.
Yes, it was wonderful. Very moving.
You have anything to say?
I didn't prepare a speech.
Just say
I'm sorry I didn't prepare a speech, but I just want to thank everyone for being here today and remember my brother after several decades. I mean, I still think of him. My family still thinks of him. We love him very much, and we're just glad that he gave his life for our country. Thank you. This quilt was made to honor the memory of your brother.
On behalf of the specialist David R. Fahey Jr., here's our next presenter, 4th District Congressman, the Honorable Jim Himes.
Good afternoon. I am honored, proud, and humbled to have been asked by Mike and the Fallen Heroes Foundation to help commemorate a native of Norwalk, Specialist David R. Fahey Jr. I'm proud and honored and humbled for a lot of reasons. The most pointed of those reasons is that Article 1 of the United States Constitution reserves to the United States Congress the power to declare war. 435 of us in the House, 100 senators, and over time the President of the United States, 536 people in total, take the consequential decision to send our young men and women into harm's way. I know I speak for Senator Blumenthal and for all 536 of those civilians when I say that no duty, no responsibility, no action weighs heavier on our shoulders than that constitutional action we are required from time to time to take. When we make that decision, we use an abstract language. You hear about strategic advantage, defensive posture, troop strength, logistics. But the Senator and I are here today because we understand that behind that abstract language, the decisions we take have a profound impact on real people. That they have a profound impact on Specialist David R. Fahey Jr. and his family. And that just as President Lincoln said when he stood on a hot Pennsylvania field in 1863 after 3 days of 50,000 casualties, the world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it must never forget what they did here. To remember what they did, we can't simply remember the basic facts, though the basic facts can give us a sense for David Fahey. He was born December 13, 1987 in Norwalk, Connecticut. He enlisted in the United States Army on August 31st, 2007 in Springfield, Massachusetts. He was trained at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. He then went into military police training and reported to Camp Walker, Korea for a one-year deployment. He was reassigned to the 42nd Military Police Brigade at then Fort Lewis on March 18, 2009. He joined the brigade's 170th Military Police Company in February 2010 and deployed to Afghanistan with his company in June of that year. The Department of Defense tells us that Specialist David R. Fahey Jr. died of injuries suffered when insurgents attacked his unit in Kandahar province using an improvised explosive device. And so we lost a young man of Norwalk, Connecticut. And that alone should be enough to speak to Specialist Fahey's courage, his dedication to his country, his willingness to sacrifice all for us, for the 536 of us who are elected in a democracy, and for all of us who live in freedom and liberty. But I wonder if we really know enough to really feel and really remember the consequence of this decision on the Faheys and on the many families who are here and who are throughout this country who've suffered direct losses. I don't think so. And that's why I think it's right that we invite the families here to tell us about their sons and their daughters, and that maybe we remember that it's not just about the DOD facts. That David Fahey, as a young man, loved football. He loved soccer. Apparently he loved fast cars. Apparently he was a Yankees fan. That's a real person. That's somebody that we can all relate to. It's a young man with all the foibles and desires and interests that young men have. Except this young man, as that president said on that field in Pennsylvania, gave us the last full measure of his devotion. I want to thank the Fahey family, all of the families here, and invite the Fahey family up to receive this recognition on behalf of Specialist David Fahey.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to thank the Congressman for his very kind words. It's tough. We've had a few memorial services for David, and doesn't get easy. David was just a wonderful young man, wonderful sense of humor, prankster, certainly loved his fast cars. My condolences go out to all the families that have lost someone. It certainly is an ultimate sacrifice for this great nation that we love and David loved. David had a lot of choices, and when he had made the decision to go into the military, it was tough. He knew. He understood that we were in war. And when he had said to me, it was just something that he had to do. I knew then, my little boy growing up, again, I thank you all, Mike, for this wonderful dedication here. And it's my hope and prayer that not too many more families have to come up and have moments like this. I certainly understand that freedom is not free, and people throughout time have paid an ultimate sacrifice so we could stand here today. But still, I hope it doesn't have to continue. Thank you very much.
On behalf of Private First Class Gebra P. Noonan, we heard from our next presenter a bit earlier, but I'm honored to introduce once again the Lieutenant Governor of Connecticut, the Honorable Nancy Wyman.
Thank you, and this is truly an honor that I received this so that I can talk about Private First Class Gebra Noonan. Those meeting Gebra, for the first time, got a quick glimpse of his personality by his infamous opening line. Gebra rhymes with zebra. Witty, charismatic, creative, Gebra definitely set his own course in life. He wrote poetry, loved literature, and soul music. And he loved the national anthem. He was voted class clown at Watertown High School, where he showed up on senior day dressed as Michael Jackson. Gebra wasn't just quick with his words or his smile, he was also quick to stand up for others and for what he believed in and for his country. About 10 years ago, at the age of 18, he wrote about a powerful childhood experience that would foreshadow his joining the Army many years later. He recalled being about 6 years old when he saw a story on the news about 5 American soldiers who had been killed on a mission in what he called some desolate place on this violent and dangerous planet. His response to their deaths was to make a memorial to the fallen soldiers. 2 American flags and an Army helmet he and his brother used to play war with, placed on a cross in his mother's flower garden. The most honorable thing I have ever done, he wrote, a homage to my lost Americans. His mom wanted him to take it down because she worried that he might follow the path of those brave young men lost in battle. After graduating high school, Gebra spent a year at Manhattanville College, took some time off, and had attended Fordham University for a year when he decided to join the Army. Before leaving for Iraq in 2010, he placed 4 American flags in the yard of the family home in Watertown. Gebra had trained as an infantryman, but soon became a radio operator in his unit operations center, relaying crucial information to others in the battlefield. It was a demanding job for a private, but he was chosen because of his ability to take huge amounts of information and then interpret and disperse it properly to the right people in his field. Everyone worked with him, worked harder, and worked better just by being in his presence. Gebra was 26 and only 2 months into his first tour of duty in Fallujah, when his life was tragically taken by one of his roommates, who was convicted of killing another soldier in the barracks that day, September 23rd, 2010. That senseless act of violence not only robbed our nation of a brave warrior and patriot, but robbed his family and all of us of Jeeb's unique and dynamic personalities, spirit, and sense of humor. That is why today is so important, to remember his sacrifice and his families. We will never forget him, and we will never forget them. I'd ask if the Noonan family would please come up.
Thank you, State of Connecticut and Lieutenant Governor Wyman, and this day was wonderful to us. This state really honored our family, my son's sacrifice, as they have everyone here today. I have this on, these ribbons here. This is what, in his short time in the military, less than a year, he was able to achieve. And I think what he would have been able to achieve had that tragic night not happened. I'm also grateful that Lieutenant Governor Wyman described the circumstances of my son's death, because we walk around sometimes in the shadow, not wanting to. It's difficult to admit that a brother in arms took the life of another soldier. It's hard. It's almost unimaginable to think that that could happen, but it does happen. It's happened to other families, so I'm not alone. There's a group of us. It's less than, he died the 23rd, and today's the 29th, so it's 2 years ago. And we had a full court martial. The individual received life without parole. He's in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. These are difficult details to hear, but it happens. It happens. And we honor his memory, and you never forget, like the gentleman up here before, you never forget. All those families sitting over there, they never forgot that knock on the door. They never forgot seeing the soldiers standing there telling you that horrible news. You never, ever forget that. You live with it. You find a way, you get up every day, and you live with it. And it doesn't get any easier no matter how the circumstances are, and if it's however it is, you don't get over it. You live with it. But anyway, this is my family here. My daughter, my husband, my son, Adlai, and my other son, Ariel. And thank you.
On behalf of Sergeant First Class Dahan Park, our presenter is Sikorsky Senior Vice President of Operations, Mr. Shane Eddy.
I'd like to first thank Mike Mastroni and the Connecticut Fallen Heroes Foundation for all the work they put into this event so that we can honor Sergeant First Class Dahan Park and all of our fallen heroes. I'm honored and humbled to have been asked to speak on behalf of Sergeant Park and to share a little bit more about him with you today. Sergeant First Class Dahan Park, 36 years old, died after his vehicle was struck by an improvised explosive device on March 12, 2011 in Uruzgan Province, Afghanistan. Sergeant Park was assigned to Charlie Company, 3rd Battalion, 1st Special Forces at Joint Base Lewis and McChord in Washington and was deployed in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, Afghanistan. This was Park's 4th deployment in support of overseas contingency operations. Sergeant Park was a graduate of Watertown High School in Watertown, Connecticut, and enlisted in the United States Army in February 1998 as an infantryman. Upon completion of basic training and advanced individual training, Park was assigned to Charlie Company, 3rd Battalion, 327th Infantry Regiment in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. In 2000, he earned the coveted Ranger Tab and participated in the Best Ranger competition in 2002. In March 2003, he was deployed in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom 1 as a rifle squad leader. Upon his return from Iraq, Park was assigned as an observer controller at the Joint Readiness Training Center at Fort Polk, Louisiana. In 2005, Sergeant Park volunteered for the Special Forces Assignment and Selection Course and completed the Special Forces Qualification Course in 2006. Park was then assigned to the 3rd Battalion 1st Special Forces Group at Joint Lewis and McChord in Washington as a Special Forces Communication Sergeant with Operational Detachment Alpha 1333. During his time with the 3rd Battalion, he completed numerous worldwide missions to include Bangladesh, Operation Iraqi Freedom 6, Operation Enduring Freedom Philippines, Cambodia, and India. This was Sergeant Park's first rotation to Afghanistan. Park's military education includes the U.S. Army Airborne School, Ranger School, and Air Assault School. He has taken various courses such as the Warrior Leader Basic Non-Commissioned Officer course, Advanced Leader Survival, Evasion, Reconnaissance, and Escape course, Jumper course, Special Operations, Target Interdiction course, and Special Forces Qualification course. Sergeant Park's awards and decorations include the Bronze Star Medal, the Army Commendation Medal, the Army Achievement Medal, the Army Good Conduct Medal, 4th Award, the National Defense Service Medal, the Iraq Campaign Medal, Global War on Terror Expeditionary Force Medal, Global War on Terror Service Medal, Overseas Ribbon, 2nd Award, Non-Commissioned Officer Professional Development Ribbon, 3rd Award, Army Service Ribbon, Special Forces Tab, Ranger Tab, Combat Infantryman's Badge, Expert Infantryman's Badge, Parachutist Badge, and the Air Assault Badge. He was posthumously awarded the Purple Heart. Sergeant Park was a devoted husband and father and spent much of his free time with his family, as much of his free time with his family as possible. He is survived by his wife, Mai Ki-young Park, his daughter, Nia, his daughter, Sadie, and his parents, Joseph and Bonnie Schneider of Thomaston, Connecticut, and his sister and brother, Katie and Sai-Jin of Watertown, Connecticut. We will never forget Sergeant Park. I would like to thank his family, and I would like to invite his family to the stage at this time.
I'd like to thank everyone here for attending this. I think it's great that so many people get involved with the military and honor all of the people that have served in the military, given the ultimate sacrifice, and those that have come home and given a lot of their life to the military. And thank you very much to Mike, who's been tireless in getting this organized each year. And thank you very much, Mr. Eddy, for words. Couple words. I'm not much of a speaker. Dehan, better known as Mike to many people in Watertown and to all of his family, was a very focused young guy, focused on where he was going, what he wanted to accomplish. Everything had to be done 100%. Until after college, he didn't know where he wanted to go for the first time. He joined the Army, thought he could refocus, and he found a home. While he was in the Army, he met Mick Young. Together they had 2 daughters, Nye and Sadie. They currently live in Lacey, Washington, in a home they had purchased just prior to his last deployment. While I was in the Army, Mike and I were always very close, and he'd talk to me often about what his plans were. As Mr. Eddy had talked about, he went through the infantry, airborne, Rangers, Special Forces, lots of deployments, lots of training. He'd always talk about what he planned for his military career and what he planned for his family. And both of them were critical in his total lifestyle. Prior to his last deployment, he talked about where he was going to go in the military for the remainder part of his career, and also what he was going to do as he transitioned into civilian life after retirement from the military. He viewed his career, amazingly, everything he did in the Army, it was 100%. He was totally devoted to it. But when he was home, he could totally put that aside, and he was 100% dad, husband, son, friend. I don't know if I can come up with the words how much I loved Mike and how much I respected him as a man and what he had accomplished. You try to do your best as a father and teach your children the right values and get them set to go through life, but he's far exceeded any of my hopes and dreams. Mike's going to be missed by a lot of people, particularly his wife and 2 daughters. Today with me, my daughter Kate and my wife Bonnie, and his brother Sajan, who can't be with us today. He's also in the Special Forces. And a lot of friends and relatives. But I know everyone that's known him will just always have very fond memories. Thank you.
It's hard enough for us over here. So this is your quilt. Jealous, right? Oh, that's beautiful. And there's a hanging sleeve. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That was a special quilt for his wife. Since she couldn't be here, it's going out by the family by mail.
And on behalf of Staff Sergeant Vincent M. Stabile, here's our presenter, Trumbull American Legion Post 141 Commander George Arison.
Vincent Stabile was born in New York City in October 1917, long before any of us were alive. The oldest of 7 children, he was raised in the Bronx and Yonkers before enlisting in the Army in 1941, prior to the start of World War II. After completion of his training, he was assigned to the 13th Infantry Regiment of the 8th Infantry Division and served with that unit until his death. The 8th Division landed in Normandy on the 4th of July, 1944, and spent 266 days in combat in northern France, the Rhineland, and northern Germany. 3 times Sergeant Stabile was wounded in action, and his 3 Purple Hearts and a Bronze Star bear witness to his contribution to the freedom of Europe. Let me read you an excerpt from the citation that accompanies his Bronze Star. Staff Sergeant Vincent M. Stabile, Company C, 13th Infantry Regiment, for heroic service in connection with military operations against the enemy on 13 July 1944 in the vicinity of Vesely, France. Realizing the difficulty in bringing up mortar support, Sergeant Stabile, a rifle squad leader, exposed himself to enemy fire to assist in the advance of a mortar. Later, advancing under enemy small arms and automatic fire into an open field, he rescued 2 seriously wounded comrades and administered first aid. His devotion to duty and unselfish regard for his personal safety are in keeping with the highest military traditions. Vincent Stabile was killed in action on April 26, 1945, only 11 days before the Germans surrendered. He is buried in the American Cemetery in Margraten, Holland, alongside 8,300 of his comrades. Of the 7 Stabile children, only one, the youngest brother Edward, is still alive. He and his lovely wife Maureen, who are 37-year residents of Trumbull, are with us today. I would like to invite Eddie and Maureen to join us on the stage to honor his brother.
thank you all for being here. Thank you, George. And a big thanks for Mike. This is a very emotional day for me, and it's a terrific day, actually. I was 9 years old when we got the news, and I was a kid, you know, and we had just finished dinner, and doorbell rings, and I run to the door, and there's the telegram guy, and I knew something was up because we had gotten 2 other, you know, telegrams at the time from my brother Jim, and it was a pandemonium in the house. It was really terrible. But I just want to say I'm very proud of my brother for his contribution, and I'm proud of everybody here that a recipient today. Thank you.
I would like to call up Senator Richard Blumenthal once again for a special presentation.
We are almost at the end of the program, and the special presentation today coincides with a very important marker, a national proclamation that has been issued by the President declaring the last Sunday of September Gold Star Mothers and Families Day. And we are very privileged to have with us a number of members of Gold Star families. We've talked today about the sacrifices and the service made by the men and women who serve in uniform. Equally important is the service and sacrifice of their families, and you've seen their families, their courage, their perseverance, their fortitude, literally right before you today. But I'd like to call forward 2 of the Gold Star families who are represented here today. They are described in your book. Mary Knight became a Gold Star mother after her son, Warrant Officer Michael Aaron Knight, was killed in South Vietnam. Kite. Was killed in South Vietnam on May 19, 1967 during a rescue mission. Mary Kite, Aaron's mother, did not even know what a Gold Star mother was at the time, but she found out. And she is currently president of the Connecticut Gold Star Mothers and has served a total of 8 years in that capacity. She has served her community and our state in a variety of capacities, not only as a leader of the Gold Star Mothers, but also as a member of the VFW, the American Legion, the Waterbury Veterans Memorial Committee, and she's won numerous awards for her role and her service, not only as a Gold Star mother, but as a public servant in her own right. So thank you to Mary Kite for your service and your sacrifice. Thank you. And Julie Carvuto, also described in your program, is a Gold Star sister. Julie was the youngest of 7 children growing up in Norwalk, Connecticut. When World War II broke out in 1941, her older brother, Martin, joined the United States Army Air Force. And Staff Sergeant Martin Troy was the tail gunner aboard a B-24H Liberator called Misfortune. his plane was shot down when he was returning from a mission. And she too has served her community. She's a graduate of New Britain's Teachers College. She was a pioneer in the Head Start program. She retired after 40 years as an educator. And she served on the board of the Norwalk AARP. Thank you to Julie for your service, and thank you for your service and sacrifice for our country. Also listed in your program is Gold Star wife, Dorothy Pryor. She could not be with us today, but she too grew up in Connecticut. She was only 10 when the Great Depression was at its worst. And she married aviation radio man, second class, Gilbert Marriott, who was aboard a plane that engaged the enemy over the North Pacific, and on November 5th, 1944, he too lost his life. She resides now in Danielson, in the same home that she has lived in for the past 25 years. She could not be here today. I don't know whether anyone in her family is here, but we will make sure that she receives these very important recognitions. And thank you to the foundation, the Connecticut Fallen Heroes Foundation, for recognizing our Gold Star families who give so much. You know, we have recognized the families of our fallen warriors, but I hope that all of us keep in mind and keep in our thoughts and prayers also the men and women right now serving and sacrificing in places around the globe as well as here in America. If you are ever down, if you ever feel depressed about the United States of America, you should spend time, as I have done as a member of the Armed Services Committee, simply visiting with some of these men and women in uniform. General Petraeus has called them, the members of this generation, the next greatest generation. And I truly believe he is absolutely right. We have so much to be thankful for in the men and women who serve our country. And if you have an opportunity, whenever you have an opportunity, I hope that you will take an opportunity to say thank you to them. Thank you to them for their service, because truly they keep us free, and they are the reason we're able to be here today to be part of this really beautiful and moving ceremony. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for letting me be a part of it. Thank you.
And now for the closing prayer and releasing of the doves, I would like to introduce Gold Star Mother of U.S. Navy SEAL, Special Warfare Operator, Chief Petty Officer Brian Bill. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Patricia Perry.
I chose this Jewish prayer. It seemed to be the most appropriate for this event. We remember with sorrow those whom death has taken from our midst, and take these dear ones into our hearts with all of our beloved. We recall them now with reverence. In the evening, in the rising of the sun and its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the sky and the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and are sick of heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as we live, they too shall live. For they are now a part of us as we remember them.
I would love to thank all of our Gold Star family members for attending. And now Connecticut Fallen Heroes Foundation proudly honors military personnel with ties to Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and New York, who made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. And now I ask that when your family member's name is announced, you please step forward for a gift from Fallen Heroes of Connecticut. Private second, we'd now like to remember these fallen heroes. Private Second Class Cheyenne M. Seymour, U.S. Army, Trumbull, Connecticut. Senior Airman Guillermo Nazario, U.S. Air Force, Bridgeport, Connecticut. And please come up if your family member's name is called. We have a gift for you. Corporal Jordan C. Pearson, U.S. Marine Corps, Milford, Connecticut. Private First Class Nicholas A. Medeiros, U.S. Army, Wilton, Connecticut. Lance Corporal Philip A. Johnson, U.S. Marine Corps, Enfield, Connecticut. Private First Class Stephen K. Richardson, U.S. Army, Bridgeport, Connecticut. Petty Officer Third Class Nathan B. Bruckenthal, U.S. Coast Guard, Richfield, Connecticut. Specialist Tiana S. Avery Felder, U.S. Army, Bridgeport, Connecticut. Captain Jason R. Hamill, U.S. Army, Salem, Connecticut. Lance Corporal Lawrence R. Philippin, U.S. Marine Corps, West Hartford, Connecticut. Specialist Wilfredo Perez Jr., U.S. Army, Norwalk, Connecticut. Staff Sergeant Martin F. Troy, U.S. Army Air Force, Norwalk, Connecticut. Corporal Stephen R. Bixler, U.S. Marine Corps, Suffield, Connecticut. First Lieutenant Thomas J. Brown, U.S. Army, Shelton, Connecticut. Sergeant David J. Coulard, U.S. Marine Corps, Glastonbury, Connecticut. Corporal Kevin Jack Dempsey, U.S. Marine Corps, Monroe, Connecticut. Staff Sergeant Richard Rick Eaton, Jr., U.S. Army, Guilford, Connecticut. Captain Brian S. Lettendroy, U.S. Army, Marine Corps, New Britain, Connecticut. Staff Sergeant Joseph Fanoff II, U.S. Army, Easton, Connecticut. Sergeant Felix M. DelGreco, U.S. Army, Simsbury, Connecticut. Chief Warrant Officer 3, William I. Brennan, U.S. Army, Woodbury, Connecticut. Operations Specialist Seaman Tyler J. Connolly, U.S. Navy, Glastonbury, Connecticut. Sergeant Benjamin L. Gilman, U.S. Army, Meriden, Connecticut. Warrant Officer Michael A. Kite, U.S. Army, Waterbury, Connecticut. Chief Petty Officer Jason D. Lewis, U.S. Navy, Brookfield, Connecticut. Lieutenant Michael P. Murphy, U.S. Navy, Pechanga, New York. Patchogue, New York. Corporal Ann Chanawangse, U.S. Marine Corps, Waterford, Connecticut. Chief Warrant Officer Richard R. Lee, U.S. Army, Wallingford, Connecticut. Staff Sergeant Ronald W. Cardona, U.S. Army, Gardner, Massachusetts. Private First Class Kyle J. Kotu, U.S. Marine Corps, Providence, Rhode Island. Specialist Andre Craig Jr., U.S. Army, New Haven, Connecticut. Private First Class Anthony D. D'Agostino, U.S. Army, Waterbury, Connecticut. Private First Class Melissa J. Hobart, U.S. Army, East Haven, Connecticut. Sergeant Stephen J. DeLuzio, U.S. Army, Glastonbury, Connecticut. Specialist David R. Fahey Jr., U.S. Army, Norwalk, Connecticut. Specialist Daehan Park, U.S. Army, Watertown, Connecticut. Sergeant Robert Elia, U.S. Army, Shelton, Connecticut. Private First Class Jibra P. Noonan, U.S. Army, Watertown, Connecticut. Staff Sergeant Vincent M. Stabile, U.S. Army, the Bronx, New York. Special Operations Chief Brian Bill, U.S. Navy, Stamford, Connecticut. Private First Class Eric D. Suffrain, U.S. Army, Woodbridge, Connecticut. Sergeant Edwin Rivera, U.S. Army, Waterford, Connecticut. And lastly, Staff Sergeant Ronald W. Howard, U.S. Army, Bridgeport, Connecticut. Once again, I would like to invite all of our veterans in attendance to please stand for a moment. We want to thank the veterans of World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Operation Desert Storm, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and Operation Enduring Freedom. Thank you all for your service, and we wouldn't be here without you all. We invite you to join us for the 10th Annual Connecticut Fallen Heroes Memorial Tribute, scheduled for September 28, 2013. Enjoy the food, fellowship, and please continue to support our efforts with your generous donations. I thank you all for coming.